When I was a teenager back in 1984, I caught a movie on TV called The Burning Bed. Farrah Fawcett wasn't playing the glamorous starlet everyone expected. She was raw, real, and hauntingly believable. And Paul Le Mat, the same rebellious John from American Graffiti that I remembered, played the man at the center of a terrifying true story. The film was based on the life of Francine Hughes, a woman trapped in a violent, unrelenting marriage. For 13 long years, she endured abuse that no one should ever have to face. And then, pushed to the absolute brink, Francine did the unthinkable, or perhaps the inevitable, depending on how you see it. She set fire to the bed her husband was sleeping in, finally bringing a dramatic and fiery end to the torture that had consumed her life. Francine Moran was born in Stockbridge, Michigan on August 17, 1947, and grew up in nearby Jackson. She came from a rough background. Her father, Walter, a farm worker by trade, was an abusive alcoholic. That early exposure to violence, sadly, was just the beginning for Francine. At 16, Francine dropped out of school to marry 18-year-old James Mickey Hughes, a man with a bad temper that would only get worse. Looking back, she recalled, "I thought he was so sophisticated. He had his own car, and most people I knew didn't." The couple moved into his parents' home in the nearby town of Dansville, and they had 4 children, Christy, James, Dana, and Nicole. And once the abuse started, it didn't stop. Recalls Francine's son, James, "She was scared a lot of my dad. I know that. She lived in constant fear. Little things would set him off. She might say a word, and just the inflection of the way she said it may set him off. Start making him mad. It was just across the face or in the face with his fist. He had her in one of our living room chairs, had her pinned down in the chair beating on her. I mean, from the back view, which I was the only one that's seen this, you could see his arms just swinging and just hear him hitting her." The police were called many times. Many times. But unless they saw Mickey hitting her, which was unlikely, they did nothing. Much like the Tracy Thurman case we talked about earlier on this channel, regardless of visible cuts and bruises, domestic violence just wasn't treated as a serious crime at the time. It was still seen as a family issue. Francine did try to escape the abuse, but according to James, Mickey would tell her, "There's nowhere you can go, bitch, that I won't find you." Francine did manage to file for divorce and moved out on her own in an attempt to start over. The divorce was finalized in April of 1971, but her plans changed later that summer when Mickey was badly injured in a serious car accident and ended up moving back in with Francine. Francine later told the court she was deeply conflicted about letting him return, but felt trapped by guilt and compassion. She believed turning him away after such severe injuries would only cause him more harm. Imagine that. Francine had tried more than once to build a path out. She enrolled in college and attempted to juggle classes while commuting back home. But even that small step towards independence enraged Mickey. Eventually, he decided she wouldn't be allowed to continue. He forced her to burn her school books in a barrel in their yard. And that night, the abuse didn't just continue. It escalated into one of the most violent episodes she had ever endured. Francine recalled the night of March 9th, 1977.
Dumping out the garbage, rubbing it into my hair, hitting me. I remember how I felt sitting there. And it was just, I don't know if I can describe it to you, but it was the most alone feeling in the whole world. And I could hear the kids crying and hollering, "Mommy, are you all right?"
The police were called again, and once again, they did nothing. In front of the officers, Mickey told her, "I'm going to kill you when they leave." When you understand the history of Francine's abuse, the danger becomes clear. To her, there was no safe way out. And what happened next wasn't sudden. It wasn't impulsive. It was the final conclusion of 13 years of terror. And that's when something in her snapped.
And I thought, I'm never coming back. Never. And then I thought, because there won't be anything to come back to, and that's when I decided I would burn everything, because there wouldn't be anything to come back to.
Francine waited until Mickey passed out from drinking and exhaustion. She made her way to the basement and emerged with a can of gasoline. She poured it in and around the bed where Mickey lay sleeping. She struck a match and lit it ablaze. Francine quickly grabbed her children and made her way to the car. She drove straight to the police station and confessed everything. To me, that takes guts, or desperation, or both. Because Francine didn't hide. She didn't flee. She said quite literally, I did it. I killed Mickey Hughes. Francine Hughes' murder trial began in late October 1977 in the Ingham County Circuit Court in Lansing, Michigan. Over the course of the proceedings, the story of her life came fully into view. 13 years of severe abuse, fear, and desperation. On November 1st, Francine took the stand herself, bravely recounting the relentless violence she endured. Her testimony was raw, emotional, and deeply personal, giving the jury a window into what had driven her to that fateful night. Her attorney, Arjun Graydanis, chose a temporary insanity defense. At the time, the law didn't recognize self-defense in cases involving prolonged domestic abuse. The strategy was a careful legal maneuver. It acknowledged the extreme psychological toll of years of violence rather than relying on a traditional claim of immediate self-defense. After 6.5 hours of deliberation, the jury, 10 women and 2 men, returned with a verdict on November 3rd, not guilty by reason of temporary insanity. It was a decision that shocked some, but also marked a pivotal moment in the legal recognition of battered women's experiences. At the time, even police and prosecutors expressed sympathy for Francine, along with frustration that there was no clear way to address domestic violence cases like hers. This was happening as the women's movement was gaining strength across the country, and women's issues were finally breaking into the national conversation. Her case caught fire almost immediately, no pun intended, because so many women recognized themselves in her story. They'd been waiting for a moment like this. A few years later, a journalist named Faith McNulty wrote a book about the case. That book became the 1984 TV movie I had mentioned, The Burning Bed, starring Farrah Fawcett, a film that brought millions of Americans face to face with domestic violence. When the film was released, People magazine quoted Francine, "I really felt trapped after his accident. I don't know why I felt so obligated to that man, but I did. Then the real hell began. I thought, well, maybe I could kill myself. But then I thought, if I kill myself, who's going to take care of the kids?" Francine Hughes' trial didn't immediately change federal law, but it became a spark for a much larger shift in how the U.S. handles domestic violence. Her case and the national attention it received, especially after The Burning Bed aired, helped push states and lawmakers to take the issue seriously. Police began to have the authority, and in some cases the duty, to arrest abusers even if they didn't witness the violence firsthand. The legal system started recognizing the psychological impact of long-term abuse, paving the way for, quote, battered women syndrome to be used as a factor in self-defense cases. Hughes' story also laid the groundwork for bigger milestones like the Violence Against Women Act of 1994, which created hotlines, strengthened protective orders, and funded training for law enforcement. In Michigan, new laws were introduced to give victims more options and protection, and across the country, shelters and support programs for abused women began to expand rapidly. Her ordeal didn't instantly fix the system, but it lit a fire that helped reshape it. Again, no pun intended. All right, well, maybe a little pun. After the trial, Francine Hughes worked to reclaim her life. In 1980, she married Robert Wilson, a country musician, and began building a quieter, safer world for herself and her children. She became a licensed practical nurse, dedicating herself to caring for the elderly in nursing homes and later teaching nursing classes. Helping others became her focus, a way to give back after everything she had endured. She stayed largely out of the public eye, living a life far removed from the headlines that had once captured the nation. Yet the impact of her story continued to ripple outward, shaping how the legal system and society understand domestic violence. Francine passed away in 2017 at the age of 69 from complications of pneumonia. Her story is about more than just one tragic night. It's about survival, resilience, and courage. Francine Hughes didn't set out to become a symbol, but as a mother fighting to protect herself and her children, she forced the nation to confront a painful truth that had long been ignored. She lit a match, and in doing so, she sparked a fire that changed the conversation about domestic violence forever. Thank you for watching the Gen X Files. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share, because these stories matter. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship, please reach out for help. You're not alone. Links are in the description below.